All right, well, game week, so I'll take any questions you guys have.
What's the mood of the team now we are in game week?
Just a lot of, I think a lot of excitement. You know, we're getting, I mean, it's just, shoot, it's what, 5 days away. So, I mean, the guys are just anticipating the opening of the season and looking forward to hitting somebody else. And I think, you know, we started scouting Portland State last week on Friday and Saturday. And so I feel like we've got a good jump start to everything, got a good look at our scout teams today. And so practice was really good for us. I think these guys are ready to roll. So they've been preparing for this all off season, and yeah, it's almost go time.
You guys have emphasized, the coaching staff has emphasized the whole time that this is the game. You know, everything was Portland State. How well do you think the players have done at not peeking ahead, at keeping their focus where it needs to be?
Oh, they're doing a great job. I mean, that's, we really didn't have to remind them, you know, that we have game one and it's on the schedule, and these guys are a mature group, so it's not really not a lot of work for me to do. Just get them focused on what we're planning on. That's Portland State, and I think our guys are just excited to get out there and play at home, and you know, have our home crowd help us out. So it's yeah, they're focused on this, and that's the only focus we have on right now.
In evaluating Portland State and the offense, what have you seen offensively from that? What are you kind of expecting offensively?
Well, Coach Barnes done a great job. I think they return a bunch of O-linemen, and you know, they've actually been a team that's upset a couple Division I schools, and FBS schools. I think they got Washington State a couple years back, maybe Oregon State before that. So they know how to be ready to play right away. So we're aware of that, and we know that their head coach is an O-line guy, and he's a guy that wants to run the ball. And so you know, it's going to be an exciting time. They have a really big team, and so yeah, we're excited to just play them and ready to go.
More run base, more spread.
Yeah, they do both. I mean, I think they had remember they had Caressa there last year and the year before that. So I think they utilize their skill, and so I think they're going to play the type of scheme that's going to help them be the best. And so we're anticipating a lot of different looks, and whether it's run base and spread, or if they're going to throw the ball and air it out a little bit like they did with Caressa a little bit. So we have to anticipate all of it.
Is there maybe a percentage of the playbook that you're trying to wait to use until later games after Portland State, or is it hold?
No, it's just we're just going to go and play, and so yeah, I don't believe in holding anything back. So we're going to try to do everything we can to win game one, and then we'll worry about game two when that happens. I mean, the world could have ended today with this eclipse thing, so you know, we just live by day. That's all you can focus on right now. The last thing I'm thinking about right now is Christmas, and so I'm focused on this week and game one. That's the playbook, is everything that we got going into it, and that we worked all fall camp for, and we're focused on trying to win this game.
How's the overall health of the team right now, heading into this week?
Good. I mean, without going into specifics, trying to protect our players, we have guys that are banged up, and there's some guys that we hope will be ready for the game, but not a large amount. I mean, I think we'll be, for the most part, be healthy going into game one, but there may be a couple guys depending on how the rehab goes this week.
Based off of last year and then fall camp, what do you think, or maybe hope, is the strength of this team heading into week one?
I've been talking about how big we're getting up front, and so I think that's always something that's easy for us to say, because we returned 4 O-linemen with starting experience, and then so more so on the offensive side. The defensive side, there's some new bodies and some guys that are unproven, but yeah, I think that's an easy to fall back on. Say, oh, it's the line, but I think overall just being cohesive as a team, as a unit. I think our offense has to complement our defense, and I think we did a pretty good job of that last year. You kind of see how it started to really start to get together, and towards the end of the year, you know. So we're hoping to start that from the get-go, from game one, and see how much momentum we can build from this.
Game one usually has some things you have to, some hiccups that you have to work out, but how important is it to get off to a good start, start first quarter strong, and come out and, you know, play good football and kind of build off of that?
I mean, I think everybody has to deal with game one stuff, right? But I think Portland State's going to have the same issues, and I think we've done a great job with our coaching staff and with our team and our leaders of responding when things don't go your way. But maybe they'll all go right. you know, so that there has to be that option too. And so I'm kind of leaning towards that a little bit more, even with your jinx. So.
Kalani, Vince Papali came here and talked to the team. Talk about the process of getting him down here to actually.
Who's that?
The guy from Invincible.
Oh yeah, with Vince, yeah. So it was, well, you know, he has a connection with the Eagles with Chad Lewis, and so he was in town.
They didn't play together. They didn't
No,
play
but
together.
he's involved with the program there. So when Chad and Reno and Steve Kafusi, all those guys were out that were former Eagles, he knows about BYU, and he was excited to talk to the team, and the players loved it. So it was a nice way to end practice, having him just talk about achieving your dreams and, you know, just proving all the doubters wrong.
Anybody else you have plan on maybe coming down, like Woody Whittaker, who joined the church this recently?
Well, anybody's open to come and speak to our guys, so I don't have to do it, you know. So and they get sick of me talking all the time, and so I'm welcoming anyone that would motivate our players. Feel free to come to Provo and help us out, and you know, if you're a perfect parent, please come and teach my kids too. So, let's do this. Let's raise everyone with the village. So I'm open to all help.
Kalani, this is the first time since BYU's been an independent that they're going to open with an FCS team. What's your preference, or do you have one as far as kind of an opening?
I really don't care. I think that we'll just play whoever shows up. You know, you don't have a lot of games. We have 13, one more guaranteed this year than we did last year. So you only have 13 opportunities. We have to take advantage of all of them. And you'd hate to be that team that just plays well against certain teams and doesn't perform against others. So our goal is to play 13 great opportunities as best as we could, regardless of who the opponent is. This just happens to be Portland State, but you guys know me, and in our program, we're about respecting our opponents too, and giving them the respect and the attention that they deserve. And then Portland State's a great team with a great coach, and we're looking to get their best shot.
Has there been any change in Francis Bernard's status since the release went out
Which release?
about him redshirting?
Well, there's a lot of options that are still out there. So I think we said that there's things that have been premature that haven't been decided yet. And all I can tell you is that we love Francis and we want what's best for him. And so, like going into more details, I think it's just his decision, and we're here to help him.
How does the philosophy go with that? Because you have players that want to transfer in, you have players sometimes that want to go other places. How do you kind of handle that particular part of being the head coach and guys you've worked with, looking at other things?
Well, I think so. Once you make a statement, you know, then people kind of throw that back at you all the time. And I think if you take things into context of when I made a statement that if a player is not happy, that they should get a release, and I did that with in regards to return missionaries that are coming home from missions, and if you want them on your team, then you should. Then okay, great. If they want to go somewhere, that should help out too. Now, things get a little bit more difficult when they become part of your team and they become a student. So I don't have all the answers to all that, but I just know that I want all our players to have success, and whether they move on and go play Green Bay and get to run for touchdowns there, or whether they move on and just quit football. We've had a lot of guys that have moved on from here. Our focus isn't just to cut them out of our lives, you know. So we'll always be involved with them, but I will respect them and give them the opportunity to make their decisions. But I want to be there to help them out as well. So without going into many details, there's so many different variables that go into all that stuff, you know. So just trying to be respectful of other people and their families and decisions that are made and the ones that are, you know, the options that they have. And so I'm here to support our players.
Interesting balance there, just between the team aspect and the individual aspect, trying to balance those two things.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, our team's the same way. We care about our guys, and we feel once you're a BYU guy, you're always going to be part of us, you know. And so that's, that's the same way I am with everywhere else. Like I said, my connection to the University of Utah and to Oregon State and other places, Southern Utah, that I've been at and that I've coached, that I'll always have that with me, and so I can't sit there and not like them anymore. That's always going to be something that I'm proud of, and got me to this point. So.
How do you feel the wide receivers have progressed through fall camp?
Really well. I mean, I think that with the stuff that we do, they're going to see a lot of different sets and there's a lot of different formations and personnel groups, and so the guys on the depth chart you'll see on the field quite a bit.
We were looking at the depth chart, and there's something like 35 different starters listed. Is that just because of all the different packages that might be on the field at some point?
We're gonna try to sneak on 15, and if the refs catch us, then we'll go to 13 and 12. No, I mean, I think it's really hard. Well, if you set one with only 11, and then the game starts and it's just different groups, and then people are gonna be like, well, how come this guy was listed as a third in your regular depth chart? I think we're trying to be, without tipping our game plan, we're trying to be respectful to you guys, and so you're not like scratching your head and asking me these questions next week, and you said, well, your starting depth chart was this 11, and these are the 11 that showed up, you know. So now we've covered it all. I think there's like 15 or 14 different variables, so all you know is that there's gonna have to be 5 linemen, and the rest is just kind of whatever. So that's
Usually a quarterback at least, though.
it's like we're trying to help you out, you know, but you guys keep. I mean, do you want the specifics or do you not want them? I mean, you guys are you're gonna complain about something no matter what. You just go outside and stare at the sun for a little bit.
Kalani, have you guys made any decisions on the red shirts, or is that something that's ongoing throughout the year or based on?
Yeah, so there's some guys that, depending, because you know how injuries go, and there's some guys that we think that maybe with a little bit more development could help us out this year. Maybe the 3rd week or 4th week, they'll start to come on their own. And a lot of them are the return missionaries, you know, and there's some that we think could just benefit from having a good redshirt year. So I think as soon as we start making those decisions, it's kind of hard to do that when you have to see how the game goes. And I think we were given a little bit of wiggle room with that stuff. So we'll probably try to travel with more when we go to games and see how it all sorts out depending on injuries and things like that. That's the main thing, is our depth and how much it affects our depth. And then from there, we look at guys that can help us win, and those are mostly the return missionaries that we think that are coming along. But you know, we'd hate to have a guy say he's going to redshirt, and then by mid-season he's like perfect and better than some of the guys that we have right away. So you look at our depth chart last year. I remember I think it was Mike Davis was our starting corner, and as the season progressed, we moved on with the 2 freshmen. They weren't ready to start right away in game 1, but towards the end, I think we felt more comfortable with Diane and with Troy being the starters there. And so even with Wilcox in his progression, so it's all up in the air still.
With all the packages and variables with formations you use, does that help Matt Hadley transition into playing a different role, being asked to play differently?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, he was a starting safety, you know, so we felt really good with him. I mentioned it before that he was gaining weight, and I mean, he's just naturally bigger, you know, so rather than diet, and trying to be respectful so we can just eat and have fun and enjoy life, you know. Nobody likes dieting, stuff like that, so, and, you know, in your early 20s, you shouldn't have to worry about dieting right now. You can worry about that in 20 years when we all have the problems. You'll know our pain later. So, but right now he can play linebacker and enjoy it, and he's a good fit there. And we do a lot of things with our linebacking crew that kind of there's a lot of carryover from our safety position to our linebackers. So you can see, I think Chaz Ayu is listed in there as a guy that can transition, but those guys can easily go back to the safety position. We just feel like we have really good depth there at that position.
Any other questions?